Boys have just provided another dirty blow to Gary G at the SEC, as the baby bulls have a second crypto spot ETF approval now with Ethereum, all while the crypto market is printing one of the biggest, pumpiest, juiciest, and dare I say, extra big breakout patterns since the beginning of baby bull kind itself. But is this going to be big? Or is it going to be extra big? Right now, the baby bulls have just put a baby dagger in the heart of Gary G once more with this second ever in history crypto spot ETF approval. The floodgates are about to open. But what if I told you that something even bigger than you could ever imagine is about to happen? So if you know that what's about to happen to the crypto market is going to be big, but deep down you also know that it's going to be even bigger than you could ever imagine, hit that like, hit that subscribe, get signed up to FEMEX or BINGX below if you want to buy altcoins, Bitcoin, or do whatever. And without any further ado, let's absolutely dump on in where we see Bitcoin down a little bit today, actually on its third red daily candle. Ethereum was up a little bit, but also down a little bit today. Now, what is actually happening right now on these charts is ginormous. And exactly, basically, we're on the precipice, I think, of the largest swing, the largest part of this crypto bull run that we're going to see for the next, this is I think we're on the verge of the biggest, most shocking, most gonna catch people off guard move of the next couple of years. We're not there yet, but we're on the precipice of it. Now, before we look at that, obviously the Ethereum spot ETF approval is huge, which just a couple of days ago, basically nobody thought was going to get approved. Nobody thought it was going to get approved. Now, because people like Donald Trump are coming out in support of crypto, which then forced Democrats to kind of ease their stance on crypto because they simply can't risk losing, they basically can't risk losing votes because of crypto, right? Say they've already had a horrible stance on crypto, the Democrats, say that they've already had this horrible stance. Let's say that they lose a couple million votes because of how horribly they've messed up their stance on crypto. They simply can't afford that. So you see them backing off a little bit, saying, hey, wait, maybe crypto's not that bad. So we also see this bill go through the House the other day, basically potentially removing the SEC of any involvement from crypto if it's fully passed and not vetoed. It could be huge, right? Let's imagine a world where we have a Bitcoin spot ETF, check. We have an Ethereum spot ETF as of the last few moments now, check. We have Gary G and the SEC having no jurisdiction over crypto whatsoever. If that happens, again, this is moon juice that you could only imagine just a year ago. These are the ultimate, optimum, massive, most bullish things that could be happening that you would be begging on your hands and knees, squealing like a little piggy, begging the crypto gods to happen just a year ago. And granted, it takes time, but all of these things have slowly been going in favor of exactly what basically pro-crypto people want it to go. It takes time. It's been bumpy. It's been full of distractions and fake outs, makeouts, mummy makeouts, right? It's not just a straight, clear path, but we're getting there. It's absolutely insane to actually see this. We also see that obviously, people have been talking about this for a while, potentially a massive cup and handle pattern on the Bitcoin weekly chart. We see that Bitcoin, after it's broken out of this inverse head and shoulders pattern, has come back down. Potentially, we're having that retest before maximum liftoff as well. Basically, in my opinion, anything above $65,000 per Bitcoin is mega bullish in terms of this retest. Mega bullish. Not to mention, now that we're back above the 21 and 50-day moving averages, we potentially as well are about to have our first bullish cross on the daily chart since back on February 11th, when Bitcoin was trading at 48,000 US dollars, and shortly after that bullish cross traded all the way up to its all-time highs around 74,000 US dollars. And we're about to get that again. This isn't just massive, it's extremely massive. Everything, so much is shifting. This is an election year, by the way, for US citizens. Election year, markets are going to be propped up, okay, as long as they can be. And both, as we've seen just in the last few days, it's very clear that both parties do not want to risk losing the election by angering or getting on the wrong side of the crypto community of people invested in crypto, which at this point is millions of Americans. tens of millions of people worldwide, hundreds of millions of people worldwide. There are people that are investing. There are people that, there's clearly no reason why there should be these strong anti-crypto stances in the US, and they're ridiculous. They absolutely, people like Elizabeth Warren should be thrown in a bucket or just locked up, right? These people are criminals. They absolutely, and the people are going to be voting, but they're absolutely not doing well, and they're not garnering more support. Their heavily anti-crypto messages are not really working. And in fact, all it's doing, all of those anti-crypto messages are basically just angering people and, making people that would probably otherwise not vote more likely to get out and vote, to try and vote for somebody who's not completely insane and having this horrible attitude and enforcement actions towards crypto, which just being incredibly anti-freedom when it comes to crypto, which, we should be allowed to own and invest in cryptos worldwide. Obviously, we allow gambling, all these things, but like sports betting, all that, but you want to crack down on crypto because it takes money out of the bankers. Well, they're not doing a great job, so they don't deserve the money, to be honest, anyway. Looking on these charts, it looks like a spectacular retest potentially here. Very big. I'm not quite sure when these Ethereum spot ETFs will start trading, but very likely, potentially in the next week. Maybe by the time this video is uploaded, we actually have more clarification on that. We see the Bollinger Bands as we've kind of started to lift out of here on Monday, just a couple of days ago on the Bitcoin chart. Look at all of these things lining up. Bitcoin has immense support. If we look on the daily chart, we have the 50, 21, and 200 moving day averages right here in like $1,000 range, between like 64 to 65,000. I think 65,000 is going to be immense support if we come down there. As I said, I think 65,000 and above is mega bullish. Anything above 65,000 is mega bullish in my opinion. All that as well with the stock market having a down day today, not necessarily looking great. I mean, you can see this big red candle. I've been watching I've been watching like stocks as well. Nvidia is just absolutely, is it even up today? I'm not sure. But yeah, just completely bananas. Insane news. It was kind of expected actually as of the last 24 hours that the Ethereum ETF would get approved because the SEC started requesting these filings. And now everyone's talking about, what's the next trade? Is there going to be another ETF? People are talking about maybe a Solana ETF or all these other things. Hey, the floodgates are getting open. And people like to comment saying things like, oh, well, congrats. You should be happy that, the Biden administration was the administration when they got approved. Gary Gensler and the Biden administration are completely anti-crypto. They were forced by the courts to approve these ETFs. They were doing everything in their power to not approve them. The only reason people knew that the ETF was probably going to get approved today is because today was the deadline. Again, they waited till the last second. Technically, the SEC and Gary Gensler could have approved the ETF last month, the spot ETF for Ethereum last month or 2 months ago. But no, they've been waiting for the last second until they legally have to approve these ETFs, right? After they lost the court case against Grayscale, they're not good. They're bad actors. Gary Gensler, these are not people that are doing anything to protect you or anything altruistic or good. They're quite literally not good. And so they're just being forced to do these things because, again, thankfully, there are some laws that exist that can, contain people when they start to act up and act, unlawfully, as the SEC has been acting. And again, one of these new House bills is that just passed the House is to potentially remove the SEC and Gary from any involvement in crypto, which from the beginning they should never have had any say whatsoever in anything. It's absolutely so absurd that it's taken this long for Bitcoin ETFs, right, just a couple of months ago to get approved. They should have been approved years ago. This stuff is bananas. But all of this, as we're about to enter, in my opinion, an incredibly strong bull market. Basically, in my opinion, things could not be much more bullish than they're shaping up to be right now. And get signed up to FEMEX or BINGX below if you invite Bitcoin or altcoins. Without further ado, that's it for me.